And again, looking back at the drawing, we're going to draw in the top view, and we're going to draw this bottom part first, this little base part, and we're going to use these measurements here. So we'll go up, we'll hit Start 2D Sketch. Your three different views, we're going to select the top view. And over here to the side, your view cube, again, I like to rotate it using these arrows so that way the word top is facing up. We're going to draw three different circles, so we're going to use the circle command. Start here in the middle. We're going to draw one that is 2.5 inches in diameter. And directly above that one, we're going to, so if you just move your cursor up above it, it kind of stays in line with the other circle. We're going to draw another circle that is a radius of 3/4. So if you're in this circle mode and you need to change it back to radius, you just right click as you're drawing your circle, go down to radius. Now we're in radius, and I can type in 3/4. And I'm going to do the same thing down below. I'm still in radius now, so I'm just going to type in 3/4. Hit escape a few times. So now I have my three circles. We're going to tie these circles down based on this 3.5 measurement right here. So if I'm in here, I hit the dimension button. I'm going to click on this top circle, this bottom circle, and I'm going to change that number to 3.5. Now obviously these aren't centered, so I now need to hit the dimension button, click on the top circle, click on the middle circle, and make this half of 3.5, 1.75 for 1 3/4. So now you can see that it is all evenly spaced. Next we need to come up and draw lines that go from circle to circle to create this outer part of our circle, our little base plate bearing. Come up to the line button. Now this is something new where we're going to talk about these constraints with this tangent button up here. We're going to click line, and I just want you to start somewhere on this circle right up here, somewhere on it. It doesn't really matter, so maybe like right about here. Left click once, and then as you move your cursor down to this larger circle, if you look, that little icon pops up. It looks like this button right here. As I move it down, wait until you see that icon pop up, and then left click. See it right here? That is called tangent. So now this line is at this point tangent to this point. Do that to the other sides. So I'm going to click here, move my cursor until the tangent constraint pops up. Wait till tangent pops up. Might have to move it around a little bit. Tangent pops up. Then hit escape a few times. Now if you notice up here at the top, these aren't tangent. If you look real closely, see how that's not smooth right there? And this is smooth over here. All we need to do is make this line tangent now to this one. So we're going to hit the tangent button constraint up here. Kind of gives you a little diagram too if you just leave your cursor over it. So constrain. So you want to select the curve. So this is the circle and the line. then hit the constraint button again. I like to hit it individually each time so it's separate moves. Constrain. Now every once in a while it might not like your move. It might move the circle. So if your circle moves, you need to hit the back button and redo it. Maybe delete the line and redraw it. So let's hope that doesn't happen. So let's constrain these last ones. Constrain. Oops, see how that moved my circle over? I'll show you that again. Look closely. If I hit, it moves the circle. For some reason it doesn't like that constraint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete this line right here, and I'm just going to put it back in. And then I'm going to constrain the other side. So now it's constrained tangent. So for whatever reason the program over constrained that line. Okay, we're almost there now. You cannot extrude this because it has all these separate parts in the middle. So what we need to do is trim the middle out. So we're going to hit trim. And we're just going to start clicking on the lines on the inside to make this real nice smooth base right here. Okay? After we get that smooth base, we're going to come up and hit finish sketch. So once you finish that sketch, you can see, you have your little bottom part. You're going to use the extrude button. And looking at the drawing, it gives us a measurement here of 1/2 of an inch. So we will change this extent distance to 1/2 of an inch, and then we're going to hit OK. That's step 1. Step 2 is going to be to draw the larger circle here in the middle, which is this one we're talking about right here, and extrude it up. So we'll click on this face, use the create new sketch button. You can rotate it up if you want. I always like to. You don't have to. I'm going to draw a circle from the center to the edge, which is, I'm in radius right now. If I right click, I can go back to diameter and change that to 2.5, or if you're in radius, it's 1.25. Once I have this circle right here, I'm going to finish the sketch and extrude the part up. And the tricky thing about this example is they don't tell you how big to make it. I've researched this, so for our purposes, just for the classroom example, we're going to make it from the base up 1 1/4 inch. Okay, so we're going to change this distance to 1 1/4, and then I'm going to hit OK. So now we have this base part, we have the larger part. We can put in these 3 separate holes, and these holes are countersunk, and you can see by the measurements here, these smaller ones and then the larger one, they're all countersunk. And we're going to use a new method of placement called concentric. So using the hole button, okay, so we're going to use the hole button up here at the top. We're going to use the second method of creation called counterbore. And you could either enter in the numbers now or change the placement, but we'll come in over here. We're going to do the tiny circles first. And the larger diameter is 5/8, the smaller diameter is 3/8, and the depth of the countersink or counterbore is 1/8. So we're going to change this number to 5/8 up here. The depth of that is 1/8, and the smaller through hole is 3/8. Now up here at the top left where it says placement, we're going to change it from linear to concentric. Concentric is just centered on a circle, right? So we're going to hit concentric, kind of move our object out a little bit, and somewhere right about in here we're just going to left click once, and you can see it places the hole. But now if you look down below here, it says select the circular edge or cylindrical face to reference. So if I have this circle, I want it centered on this circle, on this edge of my object. So I'm going to click on this edge, and you can notice it puts the circle or the hole in. Hit OK. You can see I have that circle centered on this. If it's hard to see, go up to the View tab, Visual Style, and Shade it with Edges option on, so now you can see it a little bit better. Let's go ahead and put this hole in over here. So we're going to go back to the 3D Model tab, the hole button. It keeps all the numbers from the last hole that we made. The only thing that we'll need to change is the placement. We'll change it back to concentric. And as we click on this face over here on the back side of this, again we're going to select this outer edge of our bearing, so that way it'll center it concentric wise on there, and then we're going to hit OK. Now I have those two. I need the larger one here in the middle, so we're going to hit hole. We're going to come over here and look at our measurements. Our larger hole for our counter bore is 2. You have to look at this view to get the through hole, which is 1 1/2, and this thing goes down 1/4 of an inch counter bore. So 2, 1/4 inch down, 1 1/2 all the way through. So we're going to go 2 on this one, 1/4 for the counter bore, and 1 1/2 for the through hole. And again, before you click on anything, change your placement over here to concentric. That's because we're working in circles. So then we're going to click on this upper face right here, and then we're going to click on this outer edge, so that way it kind of centers it within a circle. And we'll hit OK. Cruising right along. So the only thing we need to do now is add that hole, which is in the side right here, right here. And to do that, another new technique is going to be offsetting a work plane, so that way we have something to work off of, because it will not let you draw. So if I hit sketch and I try to click on this rounded surface, it won't let you work on a rounded surface. So what we're going to do is we're going to offset a work plane to the edge of the rounded surface, so we have something flat to work off of. If you go over here into your model tree, there's a folder called Origin. If you open that plus button up, you can see all the work planes that we started with. Okay, we want this YZ work plane. So if you click on it once and then come up here to the plane work plane button and use this pull down method, there's all these different methods of making work planes, because work planes are pretty important. Okay, we want to use the first one, offset a work plane, and right now it's going to send it in the X direction. We want to actually have it go the other way, so we're going to do a negative number. We're going to go negative 1 1/4, so that way it'll take you all the way to the edge here. See that? So that's half of the big circle. And then we're going to hit the green check mark. So now we have this work plane. If you look over here in your model tree, Now we have a work plane. Now we can click on the work plane, create a sketch. Make sure that you rotate around till you get to this left side view. Now we can draw a circle on this side of our view and extrude it through. So we're going to come up here to circle. Kind of like off of this center point, we're going to move up, draw a hole, or a circle I should say, that is 3/8 of an inch diameter. So it's centered this way. Now we need to make sure that it's the correct height. So we're going to go to dimension, click on the circle, click on the point here at the bottom, drag our dimension off to the side, and we're going to change that to 1 1/4, and then hit OK. Finish that sketch. Use your view cube to rotate it around. So we want to cut this circle out of the object, so we're going to hit the extrude button. And if you notice, it's already starting to cut it and add it. We're going to use the second method of cut. Change it to direction 1. And then the extent, we're going to go and we're going to try this 2 button right here. And you're going to click on this inner wall right here, because we want it to go to the inner wall. So we're going to click there, and you can see right here it's actually going to cut the hole out to that point, which is kind of cool. So then you're going to hit OK. Now you can see you have the hole. We don't need this work plane anymore, but we don't want to delete it. We just want to keep it in case we have to edit anything. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over to your model tree, right click on it, and there's this little visibility option that's check marked. We're going to click on that, so it all it does is just turns it off. It's still there. See if I leave my cursor, but it's now hidden. The last and final step we're going to need to do is this note right here. Fillets and rounds are all 1/8 of an inch, so if you're looking at the picture, you can see that all around this base we have rounded edges. So we're going to come up here to the fillet button, make sure the radius is 1/8 of an inch, leave the selection mode to edge. You can try to do all of them at once, or if it gives you an error, just do one at a time. But I selected all of them that I need. I hit OK, and finished. You have a bearing.